We're going to be talking about the visual essay using Cami. And first off, let's just kind of talk what it is. So, first, we used to have students kind of write up their papers using maybe like a Google Doc, or sometimes we had them handwrite a different essay. And so you can see we've got paragraph number 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we would have a conclusion. However, with the visual essay, what we're able to do is we're able to use multimedia to support students' learning. So here you can see that we're taking screenshots of our evidence from the actual book. So this is a picture book that a student was using. Then we're able to kind of place this paragraph into a visual format where students are able to type, they're able to use audio, or they're able to use video. And there's some really great benefits to this visual essay. So it's kind of like, would you rather do this or would you rather do that? And so with this choice right here of the visual essay, students are able to have that student choice. They're able to choose between audio, video, text on how they want to respond. It's accessible for students. If a student really struggles with adding their words into text, they're able to use the video and audio features that Cami offers. Creativity, it's multisensory as well, where students are able to use their creativity, take a screenshot or a picture of that page of the book where the evidence is coming from, and really allow their creativity to soar by adding in their audio, video, or text, or even other images from the web or from their computer to provide justification. Students are able to have improved communication because they're able to get their thoughts outside of their head right onto the paper. And then increased engagement because students are not just typing a paper, they're using imagery and text and audio to explain and describe their learning out loud. They are more engaged in this type of learning. Now, here is kind of what it is. So, again, students are responding to some type of literature in their writing. Students are able to pull from their prior knowledge and use text to text for their justification, or text to self, or text to world to just make it even more better when they are justifying their understanding of the text to answer that essay response or that essential question. Students are able to use a visual, engaging format where they're able to grab the images right from the book and add them right onto their Cami. It allows students to present their work and receive feedback. So students are able to share their work with other students, and in Cami, they're able to hit share and they can get feedback from other students by using that comment tool, or they could use audio or video feedback as well. It also supports writing, speaking, and listening skills in those standards. Students are able to design slides instead of that traditional essay format. So, students are really able to take their slides and visually add other images, add those audio features and video features. And instead of students just using text to write, they now have that choice where they're able to add photos and they can add those book pages right on top, and they're able to highlight that evidence using the tools in Cami. Students are able to use text boxes and they're able to address those different claims, justification, or premises. And then they are also able to use images to support their thinking and engage the audience. So, why might this be important? There's some resource that backs this up when it comes to why a visual essay is really good for students. John Hattie suggests that elaboration and organization is at that 0.75 for his effect size. That's above the year's growth, which would be at zero point 0.4. Marzano suggests summarizing and note taking is a very great instructional strategy. And with this visual note, students are summarizing and they're adding notes right onto their visual essay. Bloom's taxonomy, we're at that higher end where students are analyzing, evaluating, and creating with this visual essay. The depth of knowledge, students are working at a level 3 and level 4 where they're justifying and they're making those different connections to those evidence and what they're working on. And we're also working on that SAMR model where we're in that modification and argumentation stage where students are taking this piece of text and they're able to have it be read to them, or they're able to have it modified and use that justification as well. And so here is that wonder wall. What are we learning? Students are learning to provide that response for literature using evidence from the text. Okay, so again, this is what the students are learning, and you're able to share this resource with your students to help make this project very successful. The what, why, and when, and how are kind of from John Hattie. He suggests that when we provide clarity to students, that we are able to really help them grow because they know exactly what is expected from them when they're growing. So why do we need to do this? Again, citing that textual evidence and providing elaboration to support that essential question allows your students to understand the text to draw insight conclusions based on that evidence of text. And it will also help them develop that critical thinking skills and communicate their ideas effectively. We will know that students have mastered this skill when they are able to present their final product to the class, and they will be able to use different evidence, and they'll be able to talk in their language every single day, justifying their different choices. So, how your students can do this is first, they can view an example to kind of see what is a visual essay and what are we looking for when it comes to this visual essay. So, again, there's screenshots of the book. Students might also have like a YouTube video where they can get cleaner screenshots. And then after students have those screenshots, they're able to add these little dots for video or audio feedback as well. Students can add text and they're answering these essential questions. And we're breaking up that essay. Here's that introduction, the body paragraph 1, the body paragraph 2, 3, and you can see students are highlighting their evidence right on the Cami canvas. The next thing is we're going to go over the directions. Then students will review the rubric. They start to create, and then they'll do a gallery walk to give feedback. Right here where there's this little question mark, students are able to have a resource if they need this scaffold. So some students might need this extra support with different sentence starters, and they're able to make a copy and highlight which one they want to use to kind of help them get started. It also walks through the vocabulary that students might need help with when they're going over restating a question or what's expected for the topic sentence. Over here, if we need students to dig deeper and write more, there are ways or phrases that can help students write more in their writing. So again, this can be a useful strategy for those students that might need that extra support on this visual essay. So the directions. First, we're going to have students snap a few pictures. Step 2, they're going to design their slides. Step 3, they're going to edit their text, video, or audio. And they might do a combination of all 3 of those. It's kind of up to the student what they would like. That's where that student choice comes into play. There's also a progress checker for students as well, where students are able to track their progress along their paragraph, and they're able to use in Cami a checkbox to help them master and show that, hey, I have all of these things for my introduction. I have all of these things for my body paragraph, and so on, to make sure that they are on track and that they can pick up if this is going to become a more than a one-day activity, depending on your class length. So here's the step-by-step. We're going to do the introduction, the body paragraphs, and the conclusion. So with the introduction, your students are going to come up with a book cover, their essential question, that summary, and that claim. With the body paragraph, they're going to come up with a picture of the evidence, intro to the evidence, elaboration, and 2 images. When it comes to that conclusion, they're going to restate the claim, summarize the evidence, that mic drop sentence, and 2 images. And then I would review this rubric with the students so they understand exactly the expectation for the project. And this is your success criteria. So when you are giving feedback to your students or when they're giving peer feedback, they're able to pull language from the rubric to support how the student did. So now you're comparing the student to this success criteria rubric to help them improve in what they're doing. And when you're conferencing with students, you're able to explain where they're at and how to get to mastery. So again, if a student's at developing, you're able to work with them in order to get them to mastery by using this rubric when you are conferencing one-on-one with your students or providing feedback through Cami. And then at the very end, students will do a gallery walk and they're able to use this feedback generator. So you can see here the example, I like how you, that's right here from this sentence stem. Then they went in to summarize the story effectively. So then they gave a clear understanding of the main events. So using this generator to create a better way to give feedback to students as we're doing our gallery walk. So we want to use this protocol in order to teach students how to give feedback, because sometimes in life they will not always have a protocol. And so if we start teaching them how to use this protocol, they will be more successful. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So right here is going to be the introduction. We've got our essential question. We've got our body paragraph 1, 2, 3, and our conclusion. And so with these different activities, what students are going to do is they have been assigned in their Google Classroom a Cami activity. And so in Cami, they have been able to have all of these different paragraphs for them laid out. And so if I go ahead and I show you how I did that, I just went on here and I went to Cami. Once I go into Cami, I'm able to export this to Google Classroom. Now, there are some times where I want to add a couple other things for my students to do. So again, we have all the instructions for the students right here where they can see all these different things. I like to ask this question, are you ready? So that way I know where students kind of are. Are they nervous? Are they ready, but they need maybe some encouragement, or maybe they're ready? This quick self-check lets me know where my students are when they're working on this Cami. So I, again, want my students to fill that out. You might have to go into your settings in order to set this up. It is in beta currently. So right here where it says Cami questions for Google Classroom, you're just going to toggle that feature on and you will be able to use the different question features right into Cami. And then I can go in and again, I can add audio directions if I need to add additional resources for my students or need to explain something in a little bit more detail. I can, again, go ahead and I'm able to do that for my students. So that way they can kind of see what the expectation is and what I'm able to support them in different ways. Also, right here on this progress tracker, I might want to add some stickers for my students to be able to move around. And so then I can go into add media, I can go into these stickers, and I can add a couple different stickers for my students to be able to move and drag and drop onto their area as they finish these different sections of their progress tracker. So once I have all of that ready to go, I am then now ready to assign it. And again, I could add more audio directions. I could add a video direction for my students, whatever I might want to do, I'm able to do that. So maybe right here, I wanted to add a video direction right on top of this Wonderwall, or maybe just a note, I'm able to provide that for my students. Okay, and then I just go ahead and I click assign. Once I click assign, I am able to come up with a title for this. I want to make a copy for every single one of my students. And then if I wanted to, I could control some of these features. So maybe I didn't want them to copy and paste from Google, or I didn't want them to use the shape tools. I can turn those on and off depending on what I want to use. I'm going to let my students have a lot of choice on this project. So I'm going to leave all of these open for my students. My students have used Cami in the past, so they do not need to have the instructions sent to them. And also my students are not using mobile devices. But again, you're able to customize for what you need in your own classroom. Once you're all set, you're going to click assign. And your students are ready to work on their Cami visual essay. And so now when I go to Google Classroom, I will be able to find that assignment right in my Cami class. And my students will be able to also. So I can see that one student has turned it in while two students are still working on their essay. As I'm ready to go, I can also grade by page. And so this feature is really nice when I'm trying to review students' work. I can kind of get a side-by-side view of their work. And I always like to go in and change kind of the layout of this to make it just a little bit smaller. So again, I can kind of quickly see all of my different students working at the same time and how they're doing. So right here, I can see that this student has completed all of these different progress trackers and they've used their check marks. And then right here, I'm able to go down and I can see and I can quickly give feedback on their work. So this student, for example, let me go ahead and fit this to the page. I can see that he used audio. I can see that he has answered that essential question, provided the claim, and this student even labeled everything that they needed to do. Right here, they restarted and they used one of the sentence starters. And again, I can listen to that audio. I can see that they added their two images to help provide additional support when it comes to their justification. Same thing here, they have their justification. This time they decided to write it all instead of using that speech feature.
After his fall, he became afraid of being high up, which.
And I love this feature too because if I'm getting maybe looking at 100 and some pages and I might just need a break from reading, and I can listen to that audio version just by clicking that little microphone as well. So again, it can be really great as a teacher when I'm looking at giving feedback to my students and so on. And so again, what students did with this virtual essay is they went in, they took screenshots from the video, and then they added their sentence starters to each of the different paragraphs. So it's like they're writing an essay, except it's visual. They're kind of chunking it up into bite-sized pieces where we can see here that this one represents the rock bottom. This one illustrates that color and light, and the student is able to then explain it. Students here even added from the graphic organizer to summarize the three parts of their evidence. So they were able to use a graphic organizer to help explain this in their summary. And then what students are able to also do is they're able to go in and I'm able to leave sticker feedback. So again, I can come in here and I can add stickers right into my students' work. And I can also, because I've set this up in the past, go into this comment box, which is the box right here, and I'm able to quickly add comments or compliments right onto my students' work. So I can say right here, I love this student's maybe unique perspective, especially on this illustration one. And so I'm able to take this feedback and I can give it to that student. And I am able to then allow my student to kind of go over those different feedbacks that I'm able to. What I love about Cami feedback is I am able to just start typing, and anywhere that it might see this from my feedback bank, it is grabbing all of those different comments. So then I'm able to really go in here and find it quickly, and I'm able to use that feedback immediately. Okay, so again, and I'm able to customize it too. So if I needed to add additional writing, I'm able to do that. I can also use that voice typing feature to also say what I want to say. I can also use this voice comment feature. Great work on your evidence. Love what you're doing here. And my students are able to hear my voice too. I could also video record as well. So lots of options when it comes to providing feedback to my students. And then they're able to really quickly get a quick message of how they're doing on their work. I can also save these audio files to my writing bank as well. And I like to keep it organizing by different categories to help students understand their writing and for me to quickly find all of these different materials a lot faster. So that is the visual essay. So again, my students are then going to go into their final piece, which is their gallery. So now that this student has finished their visual essay of adding the introduction, their claims, their evidence, their justification, their two icons, and their evidence right on the slide, they're now ready for that gallery walk. And so again, on that gallery walk, they're going to be using that feedback generator where they're going to be picking a STEM, they're going to be picking a topic. So, what did they do really well on? Which part of this essay did they do really well on? And then trying to get them to use adjectives to make that feedback more compelling and to really meet students where they are. And so I will provide an example to students, and then students will go around and they will leave their feedback with each other by using either the text box, the audio, or they can create a video to explain. So students are then able to share their ideas and give that right on spot feedback because again, students need to learn this skill of giving feedback. And so after students have finished, they're able to then share and review and improve. And so I'm able to, again, conference with every single student on their essay. And it has been just a blast with my students when we're working through these visual essays because it allows student choice, voice, and it accommodates all types of learners in my classroom because they're able to use that audio, video, and text features. And they're also able to add right onto that canvas. They are able to add that textual evidence. So if you have questions or need help, please don't hesitate to reach out. I provided my Twitter handle and I provided my email. Also, make sure that you follow Cami. Follow Cami on Twitter and grow with other educators. Grow your PLN, and you can get a ton of different ideas by joining this Facebook group. You're able to go in, ask questions, and you're also able to see what ideas people are sharing as well and different problems that they are trying to solve together. So don't educate alone. Definitely join the community, whether that's on Facebook or on Twitter, to gain insight on how you can best use Cami in your classroom.